The war on cartels isn't just boots on the ground anymore. It's eyes in the sky, data flowing through secure networks, and cargo planes moving faster than cartel convoys can react. But here's what most people don't know. The US Air Force is playing a central role, not through airstrikes, but through a silent strategic partnership that's transforming how immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, tracks, disrupts, and dismantles cartel operations at the southern border. This is the unseen frontline, where stealth meets surveillance, logistics meets law enforcement, and intelligence becomes a weapon just as powerful as firepower. And it starts with a simple but critical question. How do you fight an enemy that blends in, burrows underground, moves through civilian zones, and knows your every move before you make it? The answer is you outsee them, outmaneuver them, and outlast them. That's where the Air Force comes in. One of the most elaborate tunnels ever discovered stretched from Tijuana to San Diego's Otay Mesa, equipped with elevators, drainage systems, reinforced walls, and electric rails. The reality is that beneath America's southern border, a secret war is unfolding on an underground battlefield. Detecting these tunnels has become one of the most frustrating, dangerous, and technically demanding missions in US homeland security. Cartel tunnels are not new, but their sophistication is escalating faster than detection can keep up. These are not crude, hand-dug passageways. They are engineered by professionals, using GPS and construction crews. The purpose is to move narcotics like fentanyl into the US undetected, bypassing fortified sections of the wall. The most recent tunnels have been found hidden beneath warehouses and industrial parks, disguised as businesses. The entrances are often concealed by trapdoors, shelving, or pallets. Despite advances in technology, the majority of tunnel discoveries still begin with human intelligence. Informants tip off authorities, and locals report strange activity like late-night noise, construction in unlikely places, or odd deliveries of large equipment. Law enforcement refers to these clues as ground truth. Agents then launch a full investigation, which includes surveillance, soil sampling, and structural scanning. The initial step still relies on human observation. When suspicion is confirmed, ground-penetrating radar, GPR, is one of the first tools deployed. GPR sends electromagnetic pulses into the Earth and measures the echoes to map underground voids. However, GPR is far from perfect, as surface clutter from pipes and wires in urban areas can confuse results. The halo effect, where disturbed earth around a tunnel blends with natural soil, also makes precision detection nearly impossible.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
Another approach uses seismic waves, with sensors planted in the ground to detect vibrations from digging or underground movement. These tools can sometimes identify the rumble of an electric cart or the scrape of a shovel. However, surface noise from heavy traffic or industrial machinery can drown out these subtle sounds. Current systems struggle with false positives and need long-term monitoring to be effective. Still, seismic data can confirm suspicions and help narrow the search when combined with other intelligence. A cutting-edge tool in tunnel detection is muon tomography. Cosmic rays create particles called muons that can penetrate deep underground. When muons pass through a hollow space like a tunnel, they do not scatter as they do when they hit dense material. By placing detectors, scientists can use the muon scattering pattern to image hidden underground spaces. Muon tomography is still experimental for border security, but early trials have shown potential because it is not affected by noise, clutter, or geology. When a tunnel is found, a human element takes over again. Elite teams known as tunnel rats are trained to enter, map, and remediate the discovered tunnels. This mission is perilous because tunnels are often unstable, booby-trapped, or rigged to collapse. The tunnel rats descend with advanced breathing equipment, communication lines, and specialized mapping gear. Once a tunnel is explored and documented, it is often filled with concrete on the US side or collapsed with explosives. The goal is permanent closure, but often only a portion of the tunnel is within U.S. territory, leaving the rest untouched on the Mexican side. Cartels have learned from their failures and have adapted by shortening tunnels, using narrower profiles and improving support systems with rebar and concrete. Some have even been found with rotating doors, soundproofed passageways, and elevators powered by repurposed car engines. Cartels even build decoy tunnels to be discovered while the real operation continues unnoticed. It's a cat-and-mouse game played with lives, weapons, and billions of dollars in illegal trade. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials have admitted that tunnel detection technology is still lacking. Most systems cannot provide real-time, large-area monitoring with enough depth and precision. The border spans nearly 2,000 miles, making it logistically impossible to scan every inch in real time with current tools. By the time most tunnels are found, they have already been used and abandoned, and the damage is done. Tunnel detection involves multiple agencies, including Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security Investigations, the FBI, DEA, and Military Engineering Corps. Each agency brings different skills, but coordination is not always seamless due to jurisdictional boundaries and funding disputes. Some tunnels are discovered but left open for weeks as agencies debate jurisdiction or monitor for further intelligence. The most successful operations rely on rapid information sharing and joint task forces. In response to the threat, some new wall segments now include deeper concrete foundations and underground sensors. These physical barriers can delay, but rarely stop well-financed adversaries. Tunnels are not just for drug smuggling. They provide a strategic advantage, allowing cartels to operate with impunity and expand their influence. Every successful tunnel is a blow to American sovereignty, enabling fentanyl deaths, illegal arms trades, and human trafficking. Researchers are developing AI models to analyze radar and seismic data for subtle tunnel signatures, and new deep Earth sensors are being tested. Muon imaging is also being miniaturized for field use, but none of these are ready for full-scale deployment. Until then, detection remains a hybrid of citizen tips, boots-on-the-ground observation, experimental tech, and high-risk human intervention.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
The war beneath the border is real, hidden, and we are still learning how to fight it. The cartel tunnels under the US-Mexico border are not just holes in the dirt. They are military-engineered infrastructure with ventilation, reinforcement, electricity, and rail systems. They stretch for hundreds of meters and emerge inside warehouses, homes, or sewer grates in states like Arizona, California, and Texas. They are nearly impossible to find from a truck, and dogs cannot sniff them out through concrete. However, something is watching from high above: spy planes. They don't spot the tunnels directly, but they watch the people who build them. The US is using some of the most advanced aerial surveillance systems originally designed for Cold War espionage and adapting them for the drug war. The U-2 Dragon Lady, a 1950s relic with updated sensors, flies at 70,000 feet to gather high-resolution imagery. The RC-135 Rivet Joint listens for encrypted communications from cartel logistics crews, and the P-8 Poseidon scans for unusual surface activity that could indicate tunnel staging. These planes do not see underground, but they see everything around it, such as vehicles entering a construction site or convoys disappearing off a major route. This surveillance creates a map of patterns that point to tunnels. In 2025, intelligence officials confirmed that tunnels are among the most effective methods for trafficking high-value shipments, with 1 kilogram of fentanyl being worth over $1 million on the street. Because a hidden, silent, and reusable tunnel is priceless, cartel engineers are now considered part of the same target set as drug lords. The U-2 carries synthetic aperture radar, electro-optical imaging, and signals packages to scan hundreds of miles of cartel territory. When analysts detect abnormal construction patterns, like repetitive vehicle visits to unregistered buildings or shift-based human activity, they flag it. This information then triggers drone flights, ground reconnaissance, and eventually a physical response. The RC-135 rivet joint aircraft fly outside Mexican airspace to capture phone calls, radio chatter, and other digital noise. Cartels may use encrypted apps, but a single mistake, like a call from a burner phone to a known supplier, can expose an operation and point to a potential tunnel staging zone. The planes do not find the tunnels. They find the stories surrounding them. They follow money, movement, and notice things like a two-lane road becoming a construction bottleneck or thermal anomalies that suggest ventilated voids. Ground-based technology, like GPR and seismic sensors, confirms what the planes cannot, but these tools are only effective once agents know where to look. Aerial surveillance narrows a 40-mile search radius down to a 2-block radius, from which boots on the ground can begin the hunt. This surveillance also provides critical intelligence for interdiction after a tunnel is already operational, by detecting the logistics chain that feeds the tunnel, such as safe houses, vehicles, and cash drops. Cutting these connections can disable a tunnel indirectly. In 2024, a sophisticated tunnel near San Luis, Arizona, was discovered after an RC-135 picked up regular coded signals between a cartel warehouse and a rental property. This intel, combined with heat signature data from a P-8, led to a search warrant and the discovery of the tunnel entrance. Without aerial surveillance, the tunnel might have operated for months or years. The use of spy planes shows that the war against smuggling is now a battle fought in a vertical battle space. Cartels may operate underground, but their communications and logistics are detectable from the air. Surveillance data is also shared with Mexican authorities under joint security agreements, and Mexican intelligence uses U.S. imagery and signals intelligence to plan raids and track financial movements. The intel pipeline, while not perfect due to corruption, is functional and works. The data also provides context, showing where cartel logistics might be shifting, which can signal a new tunnel being carved underground. However, surveillance is not constant, as these planes are limited resources with many different missions. Cartels are aware of this and adapt by using noise to mask signals or driving decoy vehicles. But the surveillance net is tightening. Machine learning now helps analysts detect patterns too complex for humans, and AI models flag anomalies that would have gone unnoticed just a few years ago. The planes may not be able to see through dirt, but they can see through behavior. The dots are connected when a plane picks up chatter about a shipment, a U-2 captures imagery of a half-finished warehouse, or a P-8 notices inconsistent cooling patterns. No missile is launched, but a case begins, a raid is planned, and a tunnel is shut down before it can be used again. This is how air power works in this war, with foresight, not fire. Every uncovered tunnel is a removed artery from the cartel body, and every suspicious pattern spotted from the air is an indirect strike. Surveillance is strategy, and spy planes are sentinels of the present, watching the surface, listening to the air, and mapping the behaviors that betray the hidden. The discovery of the tunnel under the Texas border was not just a hole in the ground, it was a strategic national security breach carved by professionals to beat the system. This tunnel was a purpose-built, reinforced, and concealed artery for criminal enterprise, with wooden supports, a ventilation system, electrical lighting, and direct access to a city's storm drain network. It bypassed walls, surveillance towers, motion sensors, and drone patrols, proving that if you can't see it, you can't stop it. The cartel believed to be responsible, CJNG, is one of the most violent, paramilitary-style cartels operating today. For them, tunnels are not a gamble. They are insurance that removes the risk of detection and allows for sustained, high-volume movement of goods. The Texas tunnel was a manifestation of operational dominance, showing that the U.S. border can still be breached with shovels and silence. The real danger is not just what moved through the tunnel, but what could have. DHS officials have warned that tunnel systems can become dual-use platforms for terrorism, infrastructure sabotage, or inserting foreign operatives, because the implications were geopolitical, not just criminal. multiple agencies including CBP, Homeland Security, the FBI, and military engineers were mobilized. Tunnels like these fundamentally undermine U.S. sovereignty by erasing security and providing access to city infrastructure like storm drains, which is a homeland security nightmare. These tunnels are invisible until they are used, and by then, the damage is done. The National Drug Threat Assessment of 2024 classified clandestine tunnel activity as a Tier 1 threat vector due to their persistence. The average operational lifespan of a smuggling tunnel is 3 to 5 years, meaning many could be active right now. The Texas tunnel was the result of months of intelligence, data analysis, and drone sweeps, but it had likely been used for months before being discovered. The drugs and other cargo that passed through it are already gone, distributed into American cities. Officials identified similar design features to tunnels found in Arizona and California, suggesting a centralized engineering approach by a dedicated tunneling unit. This is why the tunnel was declared a national security threat and not just a criminal case. The same route used for fentanyl could be repurposed to move armed actors or detonation devices. The tunnel's connection to the storm drain network, which runs parallel to municipal water lines and sanitation systems, meant that a compromise could endanger entire communities. When a tunnel this advanced is confirmed, it fractures the perceived safety of border communities, making the ground fertile for cartel influence through bribes and coercion. The U.S. response starts with technology, such as GPR, seismic sensors, and AI-enhanced satellite imaging. But these systems must adapt as the cartels get smarter. Legally, current laws often treat tunnel construction as a criminal offense, which needs to change to a national security violation. The real solution is aggressive cross-agency collaboration under joint command to make tunnels expensive and risky for cartels to build. What comes through these tunnels does not stay in border states. It hits major cities across the country. In suspected tunnel zones, U.S. drones are detecting what lies beneath by exposing the signs, patterns, and people behind them. Smuggling tunnels are one of the most effective and elusive tools for cartels. High-resolution visible light cameras on drones, such as the DHS Predator B, can zoom in on suspicious activity near known or suspected tunnel zones. They capture crisp images of disturbed soil, tire tracks, and oddly placed equipment. This visual data is streamed in real time to command centers for analysis. A small bump in the soil becomes relevant when it matches the signature of previous tunnel mouths. At night, drones with thermal imaging detect heat signatures from bodies, engines, and recently disturbed earth. A freshly dug hole glows like a flare in the cool desert air. Multispectral sensors on drones go even deeper, capturing data across multiple wavelengths of light to spot things the human eye would miss, like vegetation stress from soil disturbance. These drones turn inconsistencies into warning flags, such as a stretch of grass with a slightly different hue that is only visible in infrared. The power of drone data is in its instant transmission to people who can act, allowing agents to be on the move within minutes of a drone spotting suspicious digging. This rapid decision loop is vital, because smugglers might only surface for 30 seconds. Real-time transmission also allows for multi-drone coordination, where one drone can confirm heat signatures from another, and agents can be dispatched to the location. Drones also create persistent records of terrain, detecting subtle changes like sagging soil or cracks near barriers that may indicate tunneling. Cartels often dig near irrigation systems or abandoned wells, and drones with environmental sensors can flag when a known waterline has changed its trajectory. Increasingly, border drones are equipped with AI-enabled software that can identify, track, and prioritize threats without human input. These systems recognize patterns in cartel behavior, such as people moving in formations or vehicles idling in odd places. The AI analyzes and sends alerts autonomously, giving drones the power to hunt patterns in real time. Drones do not have X-ray vision and cannot see underground tunnels directly. Instead, they paint a picture around the tunnel by observing surface movement, thermal footprints, and human behavior. Then, ground-based technologies like seismic arrays and robotic probes take over. Drones are the first responders and scouts that decide where to send the next probe. Every successful detection, every package intercepted because of drone intelligence, is a win for national security and for families impacted by smuggling violence and overdose deaths. Drones don't end tunnels, but they stop them from going unnoticed. Cartels rely on silence and the assumption that no one is watching, but drones have rewritten that playbook. The Air Force's RC-135 rivet joint aircraft interprets, geolocates, and decodes cartel communications in real time, uncovering the networks and logistics behind the drugs. The U-2 spy plane glides at over 70,000 feet, gathering broad-spectrum intelligence, including thermal patterns to track movements through remote desert corridors and dense tunnel networks. This data is not just raw. It is fed into a joint task force where Air Force analysts work with DHS agents and FBI liaisons. This fusion turns noise into targets and patterns into predictions. Many of these analysts are specialists in narco terminology and coded cartel dialects, providing a crucial edge that AI alone cannot replicate. The Air Force also provides persistent ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, through MQ-9 Reapers, which fly hours-long missions over suspected smuggling corridors. This creates a near-constant picture of activity, shrinking the time windows in which cartels can operate. The Air Force's second major contribution is airlift. C-1130 Hercules aircraft ferry specialized ICE tactical teams and support gear to forward operating bases. When a mobile command center, armored vehicles, or drone launch platforms are needed on a moment's notice, the C-17 Globemaster III can deliver 170,000 pounds of equipment within hours. In late 2024, a multi-agency raid in El Paso was made possible by U-2 signal intercepts, RC-135 cell tower triangulation, and MQ-9 thermal surveillance. This layered data allowed the ICE tactical team to move in within a 15-minute actionable window, seizing over $8 million in drugs and capturing a key logistics coordinator. The Air Force also contributes to the tunnel threat by using ISR assets, particularly synthetic aperture radar, to detect subtle ground shifts and heat patterns associated with subterranean activity. This data informs ICE raids and CBP's tunnel detection units. The Air Force also leads the counter-drone effort against cartels who have weaponized commercial drones for scouting and smuggling. This collaboration between the Air Force and ICE is turning the fight into a more fluid, faster, and smarter operation against a sophisticated non-state threat. The discovery of a specific tunnel did not just uncover a hole in the ground, it exposed a hole in the cartel's secrecy. The tunnel was built in a densely populated section of the border between Tijuana and San Diego, one of the most watched zones in the world. Industrial machinery was used, electricity was routed, and tons of soil were removed under the facade of an abandoned warehouse. This implies either cartel overconfidence or reliance on a compromised ecosystem where neighbors remained silent and surveillance was lacking. But this time, it failed. The tunnel's discovery was a convergence of human intelligence, interagency coordination, and relentless pressure. Agents found the tunnel exit disguised as part of a warehouse floor and connected to the public storm sewer system. Despite this layered planning, the operation collapsed, largely due to inconsistencies found inside, such as discarded gloves and water bottles. These oversights were damning for a group as allegedly disciplined as CJNG. The tunnel's exposure shattered the myth of cartel engineering superiority and operational dominance. It revealed a shift in power, as the discovery was not due to luck, but to an evolving strategy of relentless interagency cooperation. CBP, DEA, ICE, and Homeland Security investigations shared data, layering aerial surveillance with heat mapping and intel from sources on both sides of the border. The tunnel's length and complexity suggested it took 8 to 24 months to build, which was a window of vulnerability. The longer the project went on, the more people were involved, and the more likely someone would talk or slip up. The US had learned how to listen. Human intelligence, including cartel turncoats and digital footprints on burner phones, provided new access points for investigators. The myth of the airtight operation crumbled because the environment no longer rewarded secrecy. The tunnel's design, with commercial rail tracks and reinforced concrete walls, indicated it was a high-capacity smuggling artery for more than just drugs, including weapons, currency, and humans. The exposure of this tunnel forced the cartel to recalculate its entire smuggling matrix, which was a strategic blow. Losing a tunnel this advanced is a credibility crisis for the cartel, signaling weakness and leaking blueprints to law enforcement. Paranoia spreads and control weakens within the cartel network. The discovery led to a domino effect, with neighboring U.S. towns accelerating audits of their storm drain systems and Mexican authorities being forced to coordinate more directly with U.S. partners. The most devastating blow was not from technology, but from human carelessness, such as water bottles and gloves left behind. These mistakes suggest a fatigue or arrogance that kills secrecy. The tunnel was meant to be a ghost route, but instead, it became a symbol of the fragility of criminal overconfidence. The discovery proved that cartels are not always 5 steps ahead, and that no method is invisible anymore. As border technology evolves, combining AI-based pattern detection, heat imaging, and interagency intelligence, the margin for secrecy narrows even further. The tunnel was found because silence turned into a signal, and someone finally heard it.